Hello and welcome back. My name is Darlene Merkler. I'm with Inland Caregiver Resource Center, and I'm here on Facebook Live every Tuesday and Thursday at noon with tips for family caregivers. On Tuesday, I talked a little bit about safety in the home for seniors, and today I would like to give part two of that. You know, our homes provide comfort and familiarity and feelings of continued independence and security. So there's no surprise when all of us say we want to stay in our homes as long as possible. All of us want that more than anything. But before we make that decision for an elderly loved one to remain in their home, I'm going to discuss today a few things that we need to look at in order for them to do that safely. The first thing is fall hazards. I talked a little bit about this on Tuesday, but falls are the leading cause of injury to seniors. So the first thing is we want to remove throw rugs. You know, they're very decorative and they're nice to have, and but they can be a fall risk, especially if they don't have the rubber backing. If the person really wants the rug, like say when they get out of bed, they'd like to have a rug there or something, you can get the ones that have rubber backing that don't slide, or you can get two-sided tape. But even with the two-sided tape and the rubber backing, it's so easy to trip over a throw rug. We want to make sure that we clean up piles of clutter like newspaper, loose clothes, and shoes. I've tripped over my own shoes so many times, so I know that can be a problem. We want to discard and donate old furniture. We really want to create more of an open environment. Even if your loved one is still walking on their own, it's better to have cleared open areas. If they're in a walker and a wheelchair, that's even more important for them to have a wide space for them to be able to get through. And we want also to make sure that the doorways are at least 32 inches across so that the wheelchairs can get through. So those adaptations can be made so that it's more comfortable for your loved one to stay in their home. I know for myself, as I've gotten older, I've become more of a minimalist. So I do want less things, less clutter. And I realize I don't need all that stuff that I thought I needed before. We talked about extension cords on Tuesdays, but we want to make sure that no extension cords are stretched across a walkway. That's definitely a trip hazard. Also, we want to make sure that we have emergency numbers handy for our loved ones. I think there's a way that you can program numbers into your cell phone if your loved one has a cell phone, so that they can just push one number and it dials that number. If their cell phone is not able to do that, there is a free phone service, California Access telephone service, I think it's called. I have the information if you're interested in it. They're free phones for seniors. I had one for my mom when I was taking care of her, and she could just push. Actually, you can put a picture of the person on the number, like number one would be me, and she'd push one, the picture of me, and it would automatically dial me. So that's a good thing to have. And the numbers that you want to program into whichever phone you decide to use is, of course, 911. And this is, I'm talking about someone who's able to live on their own, not someone who may have dementia and is going to be calling 911 every day. Emergency contacts like families and friends, and if they have a professional caregiver, we might want to put that number in there. Also, whoever their health provider is, their doctor, their primary care physician, and also poison control. So those are numbers that could be pre-programmed into a phone. Makes it a lot easier for an older person to access those people. The next thing I want to talk about is fire. So we want to protect against fire. On Tuesday, I said about changing the smoke detector batteries, and I think I said every month. It really doesn't have to be every month, but the smoke detector and carbon monoxide detectors should have their batteries changed regularly. And this article that I was reading suggested each season. So first day of summer, fall, winter, spring is a good reminder for us to change those batteries. We also want to check electrical cords on all the appliances and lamps to make sure they're not frayed or that they're not a fire hazard. My little dog wants attention. I have a new baby. Here she is. This is Chloe, and she loves my undivided attention. Okay, so the electrical cords, also remove candles from the home. It's so easy to light a candle, whether you're older or not, and forget about it. I remember I lived in an apartment in Maryland, and we all had to evacuate because somebody, and this was a young person, had left a candle, went out and left a candle burning and caused a fire in the building. Also discourage the use of space heaters. I know a lot of older people like to use the little space heaters because they're trying to save on their electric bill, and they can be very dangerous. Not only can they cause a fire, the senior can get burnt on them, and all kinds of things can happen with those. Those are not really a safe thing to have, especially for an older person. The next thing I want to talk about is the bathroom. I remember on Tuesday I talked about how a lot of falls and burns happen in the bathroom for older people. It can be the riskiest room in the house for a senior. We want to install grab bars. I know for myself, I'm perfectly able to get around, but it sure is nice to have that. I got one of those suction bars that just stick onto the wall, and it works really well. I can hold on to that to get in and out of the shower, which is really great. And we want to make sure, we've talked about this Tuesday, but I want to reiterate it, to keep the thermostat below 120, because 120 or higher can burn you, especially the skin of an older adult, because as we get older, our skin gets thinner. So we want to check that. That also helps on the electric and the water bill. We want to put rubber mats in the bathtub to prevent slipping. You can also get those strips that you stick down on the bottom of the tub. You might even want to consider replacing the bathtub with a walk-in shower. I know that's a pretty expensive thing to do, but if your loved one is going to live there for a while, it could be much safer to have the walk-in shower. If they don't have the walk-in shower, you may want to consider putting a chair in the shower, because sometimes as we get older, we're standing with the hot water running, we start feeling a little wobbly, and it would be nice to have a shower chair to sit down on if you needed to. Also, installing a handheld shower head can be very helpful, because it's harder to get the water all over us, but if you have the handheld, it's much easier. That's particularly good if the person has dementia. That's a whole other topic, but they're very afraid of water in their face, so using the handheld is much better. You may want to consider replacing the toilet seat with a raised one, and one that has handlebars on it. We also want to install night light in the bedroom and in the bathroom, so that if the person has to get up at night, they're not in the dark. Okay, the next room is the bedroom. And in the bedroom, we want to replace any sagging mattresses with a firmer one. This makes it much easier for the senior to get in and out of the bed and less of a fall risk. I never have seen this before, but there is a thing called a telescoping grab bar. It extends between the floor and the ceiling, and the person can hold on to it to pull themselves up out of the bed. There are all kinds of assistive devices like that. If you just Google assistive devices for seniors, you'll be amazed at all the different things that are available to make life easier for seniors at home. The next thing I want to talk about is lighting. I know for myself, as I've gotten older, I need a lot more light, I notice, when I'm reading. So I need it to be a lot lighter. So we want to check the lighting in the house of our loved one and replace any burnt out bulbs, and maybe even consider installing new light fixtures if it's particularly dark in an area. On Tuesday, we talked about making sure that there's plenty of light over the counter in the kitchen, especially if they're going to be cutting up things and cooking. Also, another good thing that works is the motion detector lighting for not just outside, but inside too. Because if the person is forgetting to turn the light off, this is a great thing to save on electricity, but also as soon as the person walks in the room, the light comes on, which is better for avoiding falls. And of course, we want to check all the lighting, and like if you're going into a room, we want to make sure that the senior doesn't have to walk across the room without a light on. So make sure, I always get confused with the light switch as you go in the room. It's hooked to one of those outlets, and we have to figure out which one so that you can go in, turn the light switch on, and the lamp comes on, or the overhead light. Okay, the next area is the kitchen. And in the kitchen, we want to make sure that if there are any items that are stored up high that the person might need, you might want to put them down lower so they can get to them without getting on a step stool. Also, I wasn't sure about this, but it's a rubberized water faucet covers, because as we get arthritis, it's harder to turn the water spigot on and off. But it's also easier, instead of the two knobs that you turn, to have one that you just pull down, and it works for the hot and the cold. And also, we want to check in the refrigerator and the cabinets at food. A lot of times as we get older, we forget that things are in there and they go bad, and then sometimes older people start, they might eat something that's bad and make them really sick. So we want to check the dates, expiration dates on all the food, and make sure that everything is fresh for them to have. The next thing is stairs. We talked a little bit about that on Tuesday, but if your loved one lives in a large house and there's stairs, you may want to consider moving the bedroom downstairs so that they don't even have to go upstairs. But if they do have to go upstairs, we want to make sure that the handrails are secure and tight, because sometimes they get wobbly. Also, you might want to look into a stair lift, a chair that takes them up the stairs. Those can be pretty helpful. And we talked also Tuesday about differentiating the stairs. If there's the same color carpet or wood on the stairs, sometimes our depth perception as we get older, it's harder to differentiate where the stairs are. So if you have a stair, the front, this is the part you walk on. This part on the front, you can paint a different color, and that helps to have the stairs stand out so that they can see it better. Also, we want to clear the stairs. I know it's easy to just put things on the stairs. Oh, I'll take that up when I go up next time, and then you forget, and then you come down, you trip on it. So that's a fall risk too. The last couple things that I want to talk about is other safety, like installing a peephole in the front door, and also reminding your loved one not to open the door to strangers, to use the peephole and not open to anyone that they don't know. Also, keep windows and doors locked all the time. And if they're in an area that this would work in, you could have a mail slot put in the front door, and that avoids mail theft. And also remind our loved ones not to agree to any telephone offers. A lot of times, as we get older, we just get a little forgetful. We might be a little more vulnerable, especially someone who's in the very early stages of memory loss. They can be scammed quite a bit. And on our ICRC website, we do put out a lot of scams that we're aware of, so that you can stay up to date on those. That's a really sad thing that somebody would take advantage of a senior, but they do. Also, if our loved one's living at home alone, we want to check in with them often. Between the neighbors, the caregiver, and yourself, if they're living alone, then making a phone call can be very helpful. Also, if you live close by, you might want to stop in on your loved one unexpectedly, unannounced, and just check and make sure what they're up to. Also, especially in extremely hot or cold weather, we want to check on our loved ones. And I know a lot of seniors don't want to do this, but those alert necklaces are really helpful in case of an emergency. Try to encourage, especially if you have someone who is a fall risk. And remind your loved one to move more slowly from room to room instead of rushing. There's no need to rush. And remind your loved one if they're going to tackle a big cleaning job or something that they need to get on a step stool for, to ask you for help so that they aren't putting themselves in a compromising position. So that's the rest of the tips for staying home safely. I just want to mention before I go is something very exciting, especially if you're in Riverside County. We have more funding in Riverside. We do have some for San Bernardino County, but I've been making phone calls, and all of us at our office have today, of people in Riverside County, because we have funding that we really want to make sure we use before the end of the fiscal year, which is June 30th. And that funding, this particular funding that I'm talking about, is to be able to purchase up to $125 worth of groceries for a family caregiver or a senior over 60. And we then have the groceries delivered by Instacart. So if you know anybody that can benefit from that, please have them call our office today. We're trying to make as many phone calls as we can to all of our clients to let them know we have this available. We also have all of our support groups available. We have 1-hour classes available. We're getting ready to start our series of classes. We have a 7-week class starting. All of those flyers I have been posting on our Facebook page, but if you have any questions, please give us a call. And I hope you're all doing well, and I'll see you next Tuesday and Thursday at noon. Have a great day. Bye.